Hey, howdy, y'all. Mr. Toptio here with the review for Apple TV's Foundation series, Season 1, Episode 10. This one's titled The Leap. It's also the season finale for this season. Uh this one it wraps up quite a bit of what's been going on, but it leaves a whole lot more questions going on as a good season finale should do. We start off. We've got Harry talking to everybody on Terminus, the Anacreons, the Thespians, the Foundationists, or Termini, I guess is the term he uses. Um, but yeah, once again, Jared Harris just walks into a room and says, "I'm gonna own everything in here." And yeah, he's walking in the middle of a military formation, no problem. Doesn't even bother anybody. People don't know if he's real or not. People don't know if he's there or not until later on in the scene when some kid comes up and pokes him, and we discover that he is some kind of hologram or image or some kind of projection. But again, you put one of the Harrises on the screen, they're going to own the room they're in. And again, look at those Anacreons. They're standing there with guns, not even pointing them, not even aiming at it, because they know he's in charge. So why why anybody else but Jared Harris would have been cast in this is beyond me. And he's done an incredible job this entire season. He think about it. He flat out tells the people from the foundation he lied to them this entire time. Almost all of the struggle that they've gone through has been not for what he told them for. People have died for this thing. People have believed in this thing. People have left friends, family. Who knows what other sacrifices were made? And he was straight up just lying to him. And he just was like, take that as a matter of fact. I'm not doing anything else to change the situation. You know, I'm not here for the lies that you bought, and not my problem. But once we get through with this, he gets introduced to Salvor. He looks around for Gale. So to me, that means that his consciousness has been uploaded in multiple spots, and I would imagine some kind of synchronization would have to go on. But even at the speed of light, it sounds like it would take centuries for all of those transmissions to go back and forth. So who knows what version he's running? I would imagine this is the one that takes place earliest. So anything that this one knows, I would hope gets uploaded somewhere or transmitted to the second foundation. How long that takes, I don't know. I mean, here on Terminus, he could be running Windows 11. On Helicon, they could be running Windows 6, 7. Who knows? I don't know. It would be interesting if they answer how they do all of that updating. Obviously, Harry has access to some other technology, so maybe it can be faster. But from what we've seen in his scenes with Gale aboard the Raven, they don't seem to be lined up one after the other, because when he appeared on the Raven, he had no idea who Gale or why Gale was there. And he doesn't seem to know anything else about what's going on Terminus, or anything else for that matter. So again, it's just weird to see him. I'm getting some kind of like altered carbon type vibes, where there's just the same character being in different places with different memories and experiences, and it's just weird. But again, Jared Harris owns this whole scene. He even just walks clean off, and it was about to leave. Everybody's like, okay, good job. Start building the fleet and let's take down the Empire. Like, timeout. Excuse me, we're not revolutionaries. Oh, you are now. Excuse me, we hate each other. Well, stop doing that. And he just walks clean off. I love the whole story of how the Anacreons and Thespians were, how the whole war between these two started. That whole story was interesting. Everything dealing with who they are and what they've got to do. I love the plan. I'm waiting to see how it all goes into action, because as rightly said, Empire is huge, And as we see, if as long as the three brothers of Empire are around, it's going to be an issue. And until then, I don't know. I don't know if hiding behind a mega flare is going to help anybody, but who knows? That's the plan they come up with, and that's what they're going to go with. So I'm cool with that. I mean, moving on from this scene, it's really Empire taking over the rest of this show. I know we get to see Gale later, but it's the large chunk of this episode was all about Empire, the genetic dynasty, how brother Dawn and brother Dusk are going to be interacting with each other because they're on non-speaking terms, and then brother Day, of course, comes home, and it's time for the judgment and the trial. Granted, it wasn't too much of a trial. It was basically you're going to die, or we'll let you live, or no, you get no say. You don't get to take the stand. There's nothing in your defense. Brother Day walks in on Brother Dawn and just sits down and says, "Okay, you're an echo. How long have you known that you've been different? How long? You know, who else were you dealing with? What do we have to do here to figure this whole thing out? You're done." And he looks at him with such, I won't say disgust, but a lot of just like, I mean, he's uneasy being in the room with him. And you can see that on Lee Pace's face, and you can definitely see that on brother Dawn's face. It's like, I don't know how to be around you. I would have called you father, but you're not my father. Help me out. And he's like, didn't you want to be something else? Didn't you want to do something else? Didn't you want to go somewhere else? And I get it. As the leader of the Empire, you don't have time for those considerations. I mean, like he says to Azura in basically the smoke signal scene of the week, right here, because that's the smoke signal. Once again, he threw it up, and things started going down, and things went real bad real quick for 1,551 people, as he goes to explain in this whole scene with Azura. Everybody who ever knew you is going to die right now. Um, I wouldn't even know how to deal with that if somebody even started explaining it to me, let alone if I thought they were bluffing or lying or whatever. But as we've seen in the previous episodes, the smoke signal goes up and the fires start. That's just that's just how that goes. Why would you ever step to Empire? These cats, I mean, think about it. If you had to do 1,500 things at the same time, who and how many people could you call on, and how short would you fall of that 1,500 right now? Even if you got little clusters of them, how far would you fall from meeting that number? And this guy just does it like, yeah, it's Tuesday. Call, what do you have, an assassination squad that's that big? Well, forget squad. At that point, we're talking, what, battalion levels? Maybe a regiment just full of assassins waiting to kill people? I don't even know where to start with that, but that's just part one of the Empire scene. The way he condemns this lady to non-sensory, I mean, no food, no water, no shelter, no touch, light, none of it for the rest of her natural life. That's, I mean, as we saw with Harry in his scene, one of the reasons he wasn't sentient was because it would break his mind by, being alone and isolated that long. I imagine Azura is going to go through something like that as well, and it's going to be absolutely terrible. Not to mention the guilt she's got to be feeling of everybody she ever said hello to, or was related to, or friends of friends, or friends of friends. Her whole contact list, their contact list, and their contact list are all dead now. Again, you see the smoke signal, start running, because he's going to light the fire as soon as possible. And then we get into I mean, later on, it all pieces together, of course. But later on, we get to the other Empire scene of the week, where you've got all three facets of Empire and Dermazel in the throne room. You know, Brother Dusk is over there straight slapping Brother Day upside the face. Brother Dawn is running to Dermazel, which turns out to be the biggest mistake he could have made, because this chick found the neck breaker and said, "Yeah, I'm here for all of that too." One, I'm loyal. I've got programming that says I have to remain loyal to the dynasty, and we've just determined that you're not part of that dynasty. So I guess you enter the kill list. And then she's out for some revenge on Brother Day after the whole thing on the Maiden. It's like, no, I see you wanted to give this guy, a chance to keep going. No, break his neck, and he's out for the count, and he's back on the floor. And man, the look of satisfaction on Brother Dust's face is a little bit weird. The look of pain on Brother Day's face is understandable, but he knew going in what needed to get done. This wasn't like something that just got sprung on him. And of course, Brother Don, he's done. But man, it is just insane what happens when you get all three facets of the Empire together and get it going, man. But what it does ultimately is reintroduces us to my favorite character. Shadowmaster Obrecht comes in later, says, "Okay, it was bad before, but now it's getting even worse." And you're messing with the wrong dude when Shadowmaster Obrecht is even afraid to speak. You know it's bad news, and it's going to be bad news for a long time. He comes in and says, "Hey, not only did they get to Brother Don, but they messed with the original Cleon the First, so you guys are all jacked up." Again, now that Dermazel has been able to somehow work around her programming and murder anybody who's not a clone of Cleon the First, and we find out that Brother Day isn't exactly clean and pure. We're about to find out if Brother Dusk is clean and pure. She might have to go neck breaking on all three of them fools. I'd be down for it. I'm cool with it, but yeah, just snapping necks just for the next who knows how many. This may be the way the Empire falls down. That would be interesting to see. Of course, all of this is different from the books. It never goes beyond, I believe, another emperor, and that's about it. And then it's a series of military juntas and coups and who knows whatever. Then the Empire falls. But this of course gives us our threads for next season. We get to follow all of these same all of these same characters again and see where they go. And I'm again, it's not poorly acted. It's not anything about the character so much as the way they've been portraying or using the character of Gale, of like isolating her, leaving her by herself, and having no one to act against. I mean, they kind of fixed that by putting her with Salvor at the end of this, and hopefully going into next season it'll be great. But right now, she's essentially just the narrator of this whole story, and that's not enough for me from that character or the way I like to watch scenes. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how to deal with that. It's just a thing that they're obviously gonna keep doing it. She's coming back. Salvor's coming back. Of course, we'll see Harry again. Empire is gonna keep going. So a lot of the characters that we know and the ones that I love in particular are still going to be around. And it'll be interesting to see going into season 2 where they pick up the story. Obviously, there should be some kind of a time jump on Terminus. So we see how they start reacting to Harry's solution to the crisis. The fact that Salvor is on the other side of the galaxy. Now, I don't know if a regular ship travels faster than a lifeboat. One would imagine so. So maybe less time has transferred, but we know that Gale was supposed to be traveling for over a century. And she says she finds Salvor after over a century in the water. So by then, of course, the Foundation's had plenty of time to build their fleet of Invictus, or Invictus class ships. There we go. And let's see what they've been doing, what they and the three pillars of the Foundation have been doing out in the Outer Rim. And has the war started? Have they kicked it off? Have they made any advances? Or are they hiding in the shadows, still biding their time, building their fleets? Has anybody been out there to discover them? There's a ton of questions to be answered going forward into season 2, and I cannot wait to see it. But my apologies for making this video a little bit late. I was watching the Wheel of Time premiere on Prime Video, and that's the series I'll be covering next. Although I've discovered that my fantasy gear is woefully inadequate in comparison to my science fiction attire, so I'll have to go ahead and fix that. But for right now, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed the season. Again, I'm here for everything that Empire does, because Empire brings Shadowmaster Obrecht, and I'm here for that too. The smoke machine is in full effect, and man, I cannot wait until season 2, which they apparently have confirmed that they're going to go ahead and get that done. So it assuages some of my fears that I had, I think, around episode 8 of like, hey, Apple, are you going to keep supporting this? But at least it'll get a season 2, and we'll see what they get done on that. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. If you don't mind, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. We're on our way to 100 subs, and we're about a quarter of the way there. So if you're new, please go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you guys in the next time. Forward the Foundation.